Welcome to Retro Upgrade. This time we'll be talking about maintenance on the original Xbox. We'll be talking about this little fella. It's a super capacitor. It's 2.7 volts, 1 farad. The reason we are going to fix it is because it leaks. It's notorious for that, and it destroys the Xbox. Here you can see a few examples. I just found a few images on the web. This eats through all the traces on the board and destroys your Xbox completely, and pretty much impossible to fix if it gets in the middle layers of the 4-layer board. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, time to disassemble. You've seen this 100 times before, so I'll skip over it. Okay, so we need to remove the hard drive and the DVD to get to the capacitor we need to remove. You just need to remove this screw over here and 2 more on the sides, and you should be able to lift it out. It's not a T20 like the bolts on the case. It's a T10, I think, for this one. Let's try it. Yeah, it's a little loose, but I think the T15 will be too big. Yeah, it's too big, so it's a T10. Let's remove this. Just need to remember the wire is on. Remove the IDE cable. Remove these, and it's clipped on here, so you lift it out gently, right straight up, then wiggle these out. There you go, and it's loose. You don't need to disconnect it completely, obviously, just put it to the side. And for this, we have the same problem. Screw mount screws over there and there. It's a little hard to line up, but after it's lined up, quite easy to get out. There, it's loose. Now we can just lift out the DVD tray and put it to the side. Don't need to remove this either. It will be easier if you remove the power cable, just to be able to position it a little farther away. Okay. I'll zoom in so you can see from 2 angles. So the clock capacitor is this one over here. It's a super capacitor. It fails and it leaves residue underneath that's highly corrosive and eats through the board. There are a lot of examples online. So the easiest way to get rid of this bugger is just cut it off with some flash cuts normally. I use this kind, Knipex copy. So what you do is you just push it over and just cut off the leg. The pad name is C7610. Let's see if I can do this without putting my head in the shot, because I need to see if I have the leg or not. And just cut. That's 1, that's 2, and it has been leaking. It has a small amount of residue, so clean it off with IPA and see if there is any damage. If you see a lot of acid residue, use some bicarbonate and water, or baking powder, baking soda, to neutralize this acid so it doesn't eat through everything or all the traces near it. In this case, I'm just going to clean off with IPA and see if there is any damage. You can also replace this capacitor. I wouldn't say it's necessary, because the only thing that does is it prevents it from losing its time setting when you disconnect the machine from the mains power. But it holds maybe a day or so, and then it's off as well. So this was meant to be used when you move your console to your friend's house or something like that. It's not a long-term solution or anything. And when it's discharged, it's when it fails. So if you are keeping your console like a collection piece, like I do, I have 3 of them now, I don't use them every day, so they will get discharged and they're not hooked up all the time. So you'll need to do this as a preventative measure, so you don't get a disaster later on and have to fix traces and stuff. It's a pain in the ass to do. Okay, so we're back again. Let's continue. So I was going to clean this off with IPA. Let's trusty spray bottle, some cotton swabs, just a few. I'm going to try to remove the legs as well from the capacitor. Just use the soldering iron, moderate heat, and just take it off. I can't remember if it's a through hole or if it's just a surface mount. I think it's a through hole, so it's going to be a little hard to remove from the top side. It's not necessary, obviously. Let's remove this. Doesn't seem too dirty. I'm using double cameras today, trying it out. The one up there is the cell camera. It has a thermal camera built in, so that's going to be used when I'm troubleshooting other stuff. It had some acid left, so let's clean this off completely around so we don't have any mishaps with any lifted traces or anything like that. So, contrary to Richard from Learn Electronics Repair, I like to use the curved tip. It gives me some options when I'm working. I put this side so I get a lot of heat in, or I use the tip if it's really small and I need to pick up something like now. I'm going to do this, put it near there, and just try to use tweezers to get it out. I also made an attempt of making my own liquid flux. Let's see how this works. I followed a guide from electronic school something or other. He made it with rosin flux. I actually used my paste flux, then just reduced it to liquid form with some IPA. So it's not really real liquid flux, but it should do the job. Okay, so let's start out. Turn on the soldering iron. 350 should be fine. Let's let it heat up. Tip looks okay. I need to buy a new soldering iron or new tips eventually. I had one and it's burnt out on my last video. I'm going to check out what's wrong with it. Let's see how this works. Looks like jizz. This is easier to apply, at least. Just looking for a pair of tweezers. Let's see. Oh, curved tweezers. Perfect. Let's see if I can get in here and remove this from the top side. Don't think I can actually. No, but I can clean off, burn off any residue. It does have for surface mount, so if you're going to replace it, you can do it with the surface mount capacitor. I wouldn't replace this, it's not necessary. Okay, so the flux seems to work. It gives a nice shiny. Let's put on some more and use some of this. It's probably the fake kind. As long as it works. You don't need much. Let's see if we can make it move. Yeah, it moves. I'm not getting this off from this side. And the flux works. It gives nice and shiny joints. So that's fine. You don't need to remove these. If you want to remove them, you have to take out the main board and flip it over, heat it up. I usually use the soldering iron and just pull from the other side. That usually works quite nicely. But then you don't cut it off, you just pull it off when you desolder it. That's everything you need to do. You just need to test it. I see some crap here. I've tried to clean it, but the stuff in the front doesn't come off. So it seems like it's either eaten into the plastic or it's really stubborn stuff, because I've actually used scraping tools and magic razors and stuff, and it doesn't let go. Here it does, so that's good at least. This is not visible, so I don't mind scratching it a bit. I'll use some IPA here as well. I'll be selling off some of the fixes I do. If someone's interested, just give me a holler and we can arrange a price. I'm on the Canary Islands, so sometimes shipping is a pain in the ass, but not too bad normally. But if you want it, just ask, and we can come up with a deal for beneficial for both of us. Okay, this will be a short video because I'm still working on another video at the same time, which is longer, more complicated. I'll put it back together and show you that it still works without the clock capacitor, and that should be it for this one. Voice over Carlos here. So this is relevant to the 1.0 to through 1.5. So all the versions in between. It doesn't affect the 1.6, just so you know. So if you have a 1.6, you don't have to do this. Yep, it's booted up to the built-in media player. It had this installed on the hard drive from the last owner. Let's reboot it so you can see the mod chip and working. Not that this video is about that, but the quality is really nice. And having the mod chip in means you don't have to configure the time every time. That makes it really good. Let's try out the game just to see so I didn't break anything. Chance that you break something is really small. It had a game installed, Crazy Taxi. Let's try Hitman. Sorry for the autofocus on the phone, it's going crazy. The picture quality is really good. You can get up to 1080i or 720p with these cables. Not bad. For a 20 plus year game, it's not bad at all. Works really well. I haven't played Hitman in a very long time. I forgot how crappy the controls were on these early 3D games. Well, it works. Perfect. Let's end up the video. Thank you for watching until the end, and thanks a lot to all the subscribers that came in recently from Richard's channel. Really appreciate the support, and all the subscribers that stay here, of course. Have a nice one. A new video will be out shortly. Bye.